Hi, I'm Andrew Wasson from Creative Guitar Studio. Thanks for tuning in to my weekly guitar blog. And this time around I'm going to try and blow through a whole bunch of questions that came to me off my website from andrewwasson.com. If you guys have questions, send them to that website. I'll do my very best to answer them, and if I can't answer them by way of direct email, they may show up on the guitar blog here. So let's start off with our first question here from Jake out in Nashville, Tennessee. He wrote in saying, I need something to help strengthen my fingers, especially the pinky. Do you have any exercises and or advice on the fastest and most effective way to do this? Well, one of the best exercises I ever came across for really strengthening left hand. Now I should mention, I do have some videos on my Creative Guitar Studio YouTube channel where I get into technique, and there's some hyperlinks off there where you can pick up some PDFs to get some extra work with that. But one of the best exercises that I've ever messed around with is just basically a simple hammer on and pull off exercise. It's a very good study. You can just do it all over the guitar neck. Just don't let your hand get too stressed out from it, because it's a little bit of work. It takes some time before you get a really good execution, and each note is crystal clear. So just take your time with it. It's a great exercise. Let's take a look at the next one here. It's from Rob. He writes in saying, Andrew, my question to you is, why are fretted notes not tuning properly to pitch when the open string and harmonic tones at 5th, 7th, and 12th frets are all in tune? Can you share some knowledge on how the Truss-Rod works and what happens when adjusting it? Well, Rob, you know what, that's not really a Truss-Rod problem. It sounds to me like you got an intonation problem. I do have a video as well on the Creative Guitar Studio YouTube channel that shows you how to set up intonation on a fixed bridge guitar. So you can check that out first. Hopefully that will help you. When it comes to truss rods, though, you probably don't have to adjust them all that much, through the lifespan of your guitar, if you have a decent guitar, that is. I don't know if I've ever even adjusted the one in my Stratocaster here. So they're compensating for the pressure that's being applied by all the string sets pressure from the headstock. And you want to keep, the truss rod is there to keep your neck level and straight. So if you're not too familiar with truss rod, though, I would just suggest taking your guitar into the, the most trusted local guitar repair tech in your neighborhood, and just get them to do it. It might be, something like 50 or 60 bucks is all. So it's not going to cost you that much money to get it set up, even if that is what you need set up, because it sounds to me like from your question, you've got an intonation problem, which has to do with the saddles here at the bridge, not the truss rod. Let's take a look at the next question. It's from Mike. Mike says, you make me want to pack my bag and go to G.I.T. Your lessons on leads and lines with chords and pentatonic scales is exactly what I want. I'm not sure what to do, though. What's my next move? Well, if you are interested in that direction, either purchase or record your own jam tracks and set yourself up in different keys, major and minor keys. Begin to study modes if you haven't already done that. And you didn't mention arpeggios. I'll get a lot of people who come in, they're decent with their scales, but when it comes around to doing things with arpeggios, arpeggios can be really weak for a lot of people. So I was just playing through a couple of minor 7 arpeggios there off 5th string, but you should learn all 5 patterns of your minor arpeggios, dominant 7th arpeggios, all your major 7, all the 7ths basically, even diminished 7th arpeggio as well. So do a lot of work on this stuff and understand how it fits and relates directly to the chord. Start getting into substitutions. You may want to check out some of those postings that I put up on the Super Chop series. There's a 3-part series on my Creative Guitar Studio YouTube channel that's all about the Howard Roberts Super Chops method. It talks a lot about substitutions as well. So I think maybe, to answer your question, just with the blaring obvious point that comes to mind right away, is I think you need to work on your improvising quite a bit with some jam tracks or something to really build that side. So let's head on over to our last question that we got time for. I'm just going to blow through this one here. It's from Maurizio, I believe. He's talking about chromaticism. He likes chromaticism. I'm a big fan also of dissonance and unexpected notes. I've always found it interesting, but I just can't seem to write a melody based around that style. How can I use chromaticism and even dissonance to create melodies? Your question caught me. I thought it was a really interesting question, because I often will talk with people about getting away from standard harmony, and that's kind of what you really need to do to get to where you want to be with dissonance and some chromaticism. Let me give you an example of something basic that you can work on, fairly quickly. I'm going to come up with a chord progression here in the key of D. And it's going to be a chord progression based on a concept that's called modal interchange. So we're going to drift between D major and then we're going to go into D minor. So they're off parallel roots of D, but we're going into major and minor tonality. Let me show you how that's done. We're going to start off with a D major 7 chord, and then we're going to go to a chord that's found in the D minor harmony. It's A flat major 7, or B flat, pardon me, B flat major 7. And so we're going to go D major 7, B flat major 7. We're going to head down the neck to maybe a G next, and then we'll come up to maybe an A dominant 7th to really pull us back around to that root chord of D again. So this will be our progression. Now, over that chord progression, if you're going to solo, the first chord of D, you're going to play D major scales. Then when that B flat major 7 comes in, you're going to drift into the root of D for minor. And then when the next chord comes of G minor, you're still going to be playing D pentatonic minor or D minor scale. Then when you come around to that A7, you're going to head back into the world of D major again. And you can really get a little bit liberal with things there too, because you can start taking advantage of some other tones and even chromaticism at that point. So here's where the chromaticism and some dissonance can come into play, is when you're shifting back and forth between the parallel tonalities. You got major tonality, you got minor tonality, both based off of D, and you can do some really cool work in there with chromaticism. Let's say when you're moving from that G minor chord to the A7, you can do something like that. I just did a nice chromatic run there. So, and I kind of like, you know, broke out of it when I got to the top of that scale line off of the D there to come back around and, you know, likely hit a chord tone, because if I come into maybe an A note, that's the 5th of that D major when I'll resolve. It's also the root of that chord just before resolution, because I was playing an A7. So a lot of really cool things can happen there with chromaticism. You can start pushing these really cool dissonant, you know, ebb and flow, the dissonance to consonance between the modal interchange work. Now I do have some videos also, of course, on the Creative Guitar Studio YouTube channel, where I got all the lessons posted, and there is some good work on there that's talking about modal interchange, so maybe check that stuff out as well. Well, that's all that I got time for today. Thanks for tuning in once again to my weekly guitar blog. I'll be back next week, as long as time permitting, to do some more questions with you, and hopefully see you back then. Take care, have a great week, and happy Halloween to everybody this weekend. Bye for now.